welcome all to Mortals Watch Today and a disquisition upon stereographs, once commercially popular tandem view photo cards produced in their millions between the 1850s and 1920s. Today we're transported back to the year 1900, or at least that's what the copyright notice states on the border of a rare stereograph entitled Landing Stage Liverpool, England, taken by American stereographer and ex-school teacher Roddo Y. Young. The confusion over the date rests somewhat uniquely on the clear identification of the three-funnelled steamer visible in the midst of the River Mersey as the famous Inman Line passenger vessel SS City of New York, constructed in 1888 and only operating transatlantic runs from the port of Liverpool until February 1893. Conceived of as the main rivals to the White Star Line passenger steamers Teutonic and Majestic, also operating out of Liverpool, the City of New York and its sister vessel City of Paris had been commissioned in the fervent hope of outstripping the White Star Line vessels of the coveted Blue Riband, the unofficial, highly desirable quasi-award accorded to the vessel making the fastest transatlantic crossing in regular service. On the 21st of August 1890, City of New York and Teutonic made history by racing from New York Harbour to Sandy Hook Bar, whilst hundreds of interested onlookers waited to see both vessels compete. Teutonic won the day, reaching the bar at 9:42 a.m, whilst the City of New York crossed over at 10:20 a.m, a factor that rankled Inman Line representatives for years to come. On paper at least, the two ships were evenly matched, with both having top speeds of around 20 to 20.5 knots, and each approximating similar lengths and beam. Teutonic was undoubtedly the lighter of the two, however, and this, coupled with a fair wind on the day, was enough to secure victory. The Inman Line was sold off to US-registered American Line in February 1893, and alongside the rest of the fleet, the City of New York transferred its British flag to that of the United States by Act of Congress. From this date, the vessel's chief port of operations in the UK ceased to be Liverpool and became Southampton instead, thus ending the fierce rivalry with Liverpool competitors White Star until 1907, when White Star transferred the majority of its transatlantic services to Southampton too. What was the reason behind this transfer of business? Well, partly this had to do with matters of convenience. Despite Liverpool's historic advantage as an Atlantic-facing port over most rivals, by the early 1890s the incessant silting up of the River Mersey had begun to prevent many of the increasingly larger passenger ships such as City of New York from mooring at the landing stages, requiring passengers to approach and embark by tender, a reality clearly borne out by Young's Stereograph, which shows passengers in the foreground massed upon a tender, patiently waiting their turn to embark as empties return. Such additional encroachments upon ease of travel represented a disagreeable experience to all but the most seasoned of passengers. Southampton Water, on the other hand, remained free of this, and, coupled with the further advantage of having a double tide, was ideal for porting many more of the biggest ships. Moreover, because Southampton was that much closer to London and its environs, from whence the largest swathes of higher paying first and second class passengers typically originated, it became economically expedient, as transatlantic business continuously expanded, for most leading shipping lines, Cunard, White Star, Hamburg America, etc., to offer that port as a preferential embarkation point, effectively leaving Liverpool behind. Roddo Young's Stereograph thus fixes upon a particularly precarious moment in time, a moment wherein the great River Mersey is threatening to sunder its major stock in trade, passengers, and through which the port of Liverpool was by no means guaranteed to survive. Action was needed and would be taken, but for now, there was little doubt Liverpool shipping was experiencing a lull. Left and right views are clear in establishing the tension prevalent in some of the crowd and the uncomfortable nature of waiting in the sun as parasols and umbrellas are deployed. The British flag flying at the stern of City of New York, only visible in the right eye view, however, is the key element that provides the clearest evidence that Young's stereograph must date from 1888 to 1893, i.e. before Inman became American. Stereographs such as this are often dismissed by photographic historians as typical tourist fare, and thus not really worthy of discussion or comment, and yet the chance fleeting capture of the SS City of New York during its few years of operation at Liverpool is virtually unheard of and worthy of note, no matter what the vulgarised mass market appeal of the medium in question.